Hey everybody, welcome to your unpaid therapist.
Hello, welcome to another episode of your unpaid therapist.
I'm not getting paid. I didn't even get a donut.
Oh, that's sexy though. I like it. I'm Valery Milagros Ortiz. I don't know. I am your host, Alikona. She's away. Bradford.
This is your unpaid therapist. Shoo-wah, cha-cha.
Shoo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba.
Oh, okay. I love our intro so much. Every time I get so happy when I hear Matt laughing. Okay, everybody, welcome to another episode of Your Unpaid Therapist. I am Valery Ortiz.
And I'm Alikona. She's my Bradford.
And this handsome stud sitting next to me, I hope you're watching the episode, because if not, you're missing out on this gorgeous man, is David Hicks.
Thank you. You're too kind.
So other than bring your boyfriend to work day, which, you know, any excuse to have him by my side is like, let's do it. But I wanted to, because after talking about it, we decided that it's so interesting, all the things that David has done, from playing sports to modeling to being a life coach to real estate. He is somebody who has like reinvented himself and not been afraid to challenge himself and do something new. And I think that's super relatable and also very difficult for people to do. So of course we wanted to chat about it.
Let's get in.
Before we do it in proper Your Unpaid Therapist fashion, we're gonna get
Never have I ever.
I know.
David's gonna go first. Okay.
I feel like
It's only right.
this could get scary.
Oh, I mean, don't just pick the top. I'm sorry. You could. How'd that? There we go.
David Blaine?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Wait, you gotta say never have I ever first.
Never have I ever gotten turned on by someone who wasn't my type.
Oh.
Never have I ever. I have to read that one again. Gotten turned on by someone who wasn't my type.
No, I'm thinking.
Do I answer
Yes,
this?
yes. Yeah, no, I was just thinking. Sorry, thinking loud.
It has happened. Maybe once or twice, but it was short-lived.
Yeah.
You know, like minutes, maybe.
So was it like they were not your type in terms of like they weren't your typical type of girl you go for, but then you start talking to them and they're like, oh, there could be some curiosity there.
Right. But then a couple minutes went by and I was like,
oh,
no.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I definitely have. I mean, one person in particular, it's so funny because he ended up being an asshole anyway, but
Did he run track?
he didn't run the whole thing early. Y'all missed it. I liked a lot of boys in the track team. Anyway, yeah, and that was short-lived too because I was like,
Yeah, I think for me, I think personality is a lot for me. So I think that's happened a couple times where you're just like, oh, yeah, okay. But then you get to know the person and then you're like,
David, you're an upgrade.
everybody knows that. But I think that has happened where you're just like, oh, I'm surprised that I would even talk to you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
Who's next?
I'm gonna let you go next.
Okay, I'm gonna go blue because I'm wearing blue.
Okay.
Never have I ever faked an injury or illness to get out of something. Never have I ever faked an injury or an illness. Probably. I honestly, I can't think of anything, but I'm sure like made something worse than it was possibly, or like, I don't know, been like
Dig deep.
deep.
There's something there.
Faked it. Well, y'all, if y'all know yours, go ahead.
Yeah. Go.
Definitely. To stay home, like from school. Like, oh, I'm sick. I'm just from high school for sure.
Okay.
At least 5 times. Sorry, Mom.
Or God.
I sure have. And I if you missed the episode before, I'm gonna give the people a tip. Okay. We discussed this. But I used to call out sick to work and I was like, well, I don't want to be those people who sounds like fine and I am not, even though I'm an actor, right? I don't want to be like, I do feel good. So I would hang
Why
my
were
head.
you just Asian right now? You weren't even sick. No offense.
I'm Japanese. I can do that. It's okay. So I would hang myself off the bed backwards, like pretend this is the bed and this is my head. I would hang like this
And make the call?
Yeah, I'd be like, I really don't feel good. Something has come over me, and I can't come to work today. And they'd be like, "Oh, can I help you feel better?"
That's commitment.
So, method.
You really wanted to.
Yeah. Well, it needed to be real. So you're welcome, guys.
Method actors.
Yeah. Okay, last one. What color was the one you picked, David?
Yellow.
Oh, so you got to do pink.
Oh, I gotta go pink. Okay, let's make this a good one. Never have I ever been invited to the casting couch.
Ooh.
Oh. Yes and no. I've never been directly invited to the casting couch per se, but I did have a gentleman who was a liaison between the financiers, the celebrities, and the person like me who has not the status to approach somebody like Tom Cruise. And he, during conversation, would first of all call me at 2:00 in the morning and say, "Oh, well, I'm in China, and that's why I'm calling you at 2 in the morning." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I was naive, like I was in my early 20s. And then he was like, "So if I introduce you to these people, because I know all the big wigs like WME, yada yada yada, like I know the people, what can I tell them you're willing to do?" And I was like, "I'm willing to host. I'm a dancer."
That's not exactly what he was talking about.
Like, no. Like, what are you willing to do? And even if you're not willing to do, can you at least flirt and imply? Because that's going to get you in the door. And I was like, "Oh, no, that's not my style." And he was like, "Everybody does it." He's like, "I'm a man and I had to do it. And I'm still friends with the lady. She's the one who got me on my work. And, she was very unattractive and she was much older, but I did what I had to do." And I was like, "Okay." And then, shortly after the phone calls stops. And I was like,
wow.
"Okay." So that's my story.
What about you?
Nope.
Wow. Easy breezy. So I actually had nothing as bold, and blunt as that. But I remember, I'm like, should I call this person out or should I not?
Nameless, it's okay.
Huh?
You're not saying their name. It's okay.
Oh, I was gonna say their name.
Oh, okay. Say their name. Say my name.
But no, I was, I met, Jimmy Iovine? What is the American Idol? One of these, whatever. And he had given me his number and had invited me to go to American Idol and go like behind stage and da-da. And so at the time I was married and my ex was like stoked, of course.
Jeez.
No,
I'll drive you. Go.
no, because
What are
he's
you
a
gonna wear?
singer. No, he's a singer and he's a music guy. And I forgot who was there. I don't know if J-Lo was there at the time or whatever, but yeah, we were like so excited. So we went and then Jimmy went to get me. Like we were texting, I'm like, "I'm here." And when he saw I was with my ex, his face dropped. And what was so weird and nasty about it is his assistant was the one who got me and went to get me. And then so then I went to this like VIP section in the back, obviously with my ex, because I'm like, what? Of course I'm bringing my husband. And he was like, his face looked like, what is he doing here? And then he literally, I introduced him, blah, blah, blah. He left and like left us there. And I was like, isn't it so messed up? Yeah. And I was just like, so nasty.
Were you there like as a singer? Or like
No.
he just invited
He
you?
wanted me to be like his guest, but he gave me 2 tickets.
Oh.
He thought you were gonna bring a girlfriend, not a dude.
Possibly. Yeah.
Oh.
But either way, it's like, you just gonna leave it? Like, what? Like, I mean, I could, like, why? I don't know. He just made it so obvious and gross. I was like, ew. Yeah. That was the only situation in that sort. Is that it? Did we do all
we did them.
That's it?
Bam, bam, bam.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold it long enough. I just discovered like in our little sound system that we have sound effects. I'm like, oh, look out.
And I was like, this is the perfect time. So let's get into it, Mr. David Lawrence Hicks. Okay, so
She dropped the middle name.
yes, I did. I really, after talking with Alikona, the biggest thing, right, Alikona, we were saying is just like somebody who's attractive and outside looking in, it's like this person like has never been insecure. This person has always had all the ladies. This person's probably a player.
He's a model.
Yeah, like whatever. And these are, the perceptions that you can get. But it's been very different for you, and I think that's so interesting. But I want to start with the transitions and how you went from sports to then the modeling to then the coaching and all that stuff, and how and what the why was with those.
How much time do we have?
I know, right?
Okay. I think it'll start with being from Chicago. It was a town that people were into sports and business, and so that's what you did. And so that's what I did. I played basketball. I went to college. I studied business and sales marketing, and I was like, oh, I want to live in Miami and do sales, because it was warm there, and I went to school in Michigan, so it was a lot colder.
So cool.
You don't know anything about growing up in Florida, so it's the opposite of what you're used to. Very much like Canada.
Yes.
And so after college, I got a job in sales, and I was super bored. 4 months in, super bored. And, my mom gave me some advice, as they all do. It's okay. That's how it is. That's just work. Because I've been in school my whole life.
Right.
And you just get out and you're like, all right. And then you're doing your job and you're like, wait.
Well, and you think about it, you were what, 23, 22?
Yes, 23.
Okay, so you're 23 years old doing a sales job and supposed to be stoked about it when you're like in the prime of like, let's just learn the world. I've done nothing but go to high school. Like now it's time to like
in the classroom.
Yeah.
My whole life. And now I'm driving a van downtown Chicago. Now, in retrospect, it was a good gig. But I don't know. It just felt wrong.
Yeah.
Like, no, I think I was really excited to get my degree and, going into finals, and you get the grades and you have a graduation party. 3 weeks later, you get a place in Lincoln Park overlooking the lake, your, company vehicle, and you decorate your place.
Yeah.
You start your job, and 3 weeks in, you're like, wait, no.
Yeah.
Why am I working on Saturday?
But like, okay, so then what gave you the guts? Because most people, I mean, look, I'm a people pleaser, and I was very much pressured by my own family. It was like, you are going to major in communications. You are going to take this class. And like my electives, like, I want to take an art class. No, you're taking speech. No, you're taking debate. And so it's like, for me, I was just like, okay, I guess this is what I'm going to do, because as long as I am in the vicinity of my parents, I'm going to listen to my authoritative figure. So for you, like, what was it that made you be like, thanks for the advice, Mom, but actually, somebody approached me about modeling. I think I'm going to do it.
I knew I couldn't continue because my work was suffering, because there's just
no passion,
zero. I wanted to survive, but I just thought I could do it other ways. And so I wanted to do something fun. And I remember once being on spring break in Miami, and I had a scout approach me saying, oh, you should model. And I kind of laughed it off, and my friends were like, oh, don't tell him that. He'll think he's great. And I didn't think anything.
And I did. I'm just
no, I really didn't.
You did.
And I was like, I don't know. I don't even know how I came to this frame of mind, but I was like, maybe I'll try doing a photo shoot. I was a regular guy that was super foreign, but it seemed fun, even though I didn't know what I was doing.
Were you into because he dresses so nice, and he has a lot of clothes and good shoes, and is that something that was before the modeling? Or?
I got my hair cut once a week. I liked clothes, but I played sports, so everything was Jordan, Nike.
Sure.
Yeah.
And my clothes were a lot baggier back then.
Oh my gosh. So his old pictures, by the way. So it's really funny. Just a little insert. So we're going to have her on the show, but one of my best friends from 6th grade, Karina, we both in middle school liked the same guy. And like, he didn't like us, whatever, we were dorks. But I showed Karina a picture of old David. Well, young David. But
I'm old David. I was young then.
But it was so funny because he looks like a way better looking version of the guy I had a crush on in middle school. And I sent her a picture. I was like, oh my God, doesn't this look like a better version of, this guy? And she was like, holy crap, it does. Anyway, so funny. So, okay, so back to you. And I was curious. So when you did this photo shoot, you haven't done this before, but you knew you liked clothes and stuff.
I
And
wanted to do a photo shoot, so I didn't know a photographer. So my dad's barber's sister ran Ford Models in Chicago, one of the major agencies.
what are the chances?
Well, hold on. First of all, can we talk about divine timing and like, was it kismet? Like meant to be? Because that,
Yeah.
like, to get you guys, just for some context, Ford Models is huge
Yeah.
and very, very hard, like, to be a part of. So for someone to just randomly, like, that was your calling.
Yeah,
I got the meeting because I just wanted to talk to her to say, hey,
What do you think?
probably could have done that over the phone. I don't really remember how it happened, but I got the meeting. And within 30 seconds, she's like, how did you get this meeting?
Right.
And I'm like, oh, my dad knows your brother. And she's like, can I see some pictures of you online? So I pull up my MySpace because I'm that old. And she goes, okay. Brought some other agents in. They start whispering. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's funny, real quick. I remember wearing something that I thought was fashionable.
Oh,
my God, I
When I
no.
was
wish I
going.
knew.
And all I remember is like blue jeans
Uh-huh.
and a black Sean John button down. And I probably was like a medium large, and it was probably an extra large.
Oh.
That's so funny.
Oh.
Needless to say, they all were like, "Hey, have you ever considered working with us?" And I actually don't remember.
You're
What
like,
does that
"No."
mean? What does that mean? What does that mean to work for you? And they bring out a comp card and they say, "These will be your looks. We get 20% of what you make."
Uh-huh.
And I told them like, "Okay, I have a sales job. I thought I was coming in to do a photo, set up a photo shoot.
Yeah.
So I'll have to think about it." And then 5 seconds later, I said yes.
Yeah.
I'm in. I went home, and they told me I had to shave my goatee, which I was very reluctant to do because I had facial hair. This took a long time to grow. Like, I had a baby face forever. And when I had a goatee, girls started to pay attention to me. And so I thought it was because I had facial
Now
hair.
he look like a man.
And so when they're like, hey, you're going to have to shave it, I was like, I have to make a choice. Like, the girls were probably be all gone now.
Oh.
And they weren't, but I definitely thought I was
Yeah,
done. But I was like, career first. Like,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
And so I signed with them that day with my new baby face and baggy clothes.
Uh-huh.
And yeah.
How long before you booked your first gig?
Oh, that's actually very funny. The first gig I had was 2 weeks. It was actually the hardest, most difficult, worst job I've ever had in a 20+ year.
Wow.
Really? The first one.
If,
Get it out
if
of the
anybody knows Chicago, it was body painting.
Oh, no.
And so it was winter in
Cold.
Chicago, and I was in the mall on a stage
Oh.
with music playing, wearing what they said was men's brief underwear. It was barely covering anything. Mind you, I've never modeled, taken a picture. The confidence is not there yet,
Yeah.
right? Why couldn't I have worked for like Target for the first time, or like
Target wasn't hot back then.
Walmart or something? And this guy's body painting me, and he's covering about an inch per hour.
Oh, jeez.
And I remember you said that originally when they had presented this idea, he wasn't super like, he was like okay about it because he's thinking well, by the time he gets into the public, he's
be
already
painted.
painted. And then I guess they had told you
we're
last minute,
gonna
like,
do the process of painting.
I mean, I understand because that is pretty cool.
But to go so slow.
I know.
I remember seeing about 5 or 6 of my friends.
Oh my
They're
God, of
walking
course.
by with their family or friends. Hey, Ted. Hey, hey, and literally they would say like, they would look at me and just be like, hey, David, hey, man,
So, okay, with that kind of a reaction too, then, so in the beginning,
because they didn't know what was going on either.
that's what I'm saying. So,
Like,
like,
that's more of you than I've ever seen my whole life.
And what are you doing?
Yeah.
right.
Don't you have a sales job?
You're like, oh, is it getting that bad?
So what I was trying to say was that because it was new, that wasn't a thing you would brag about or like tell people about because it like. So we know now Ford Models is amazing. Being a model like is hard. Like not everybody can do it. So telling people about it, would that have been something that you were like, oh, look at what I'm doing now?
No, nobody wanted or cared or thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about.
I made $300 and it was really hard to make that. I
Yeah.
feel like, and to this day, it was like doing that now. I could do it, but it would still be terrible
Yeah.
for it to be the first shoot.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. But anyway, so that was the worst one, but it was good because it made me tough because everything else from there was easy. I moved to Miami for a couple of months trying to spark the career. Had some good opportunities, broke even, didn't. Set the world on fire, went home, had an agent from New York in the Ford office that I met, and she said, "You have a good look. You should come to New York. I have a bunch of clients that would like you." And I was like, I just got back from Miami. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think so. And a couple of days later, she called me from the airport saying like, "Hey, are you coming? What's the deal?" And I was like, maybe she knows something that I don't. Okay, I'll come. So I went there, and within like 3 months, actually that client didn't like me, but I probably saw 45 different clients in like a week.
Wow.
It was like,
And what does that mean? So to anybody who's listening or watching who doesn't know diddly squat about modeling, what does seeing a client
So
entail? Like, what is one?
it can be called a casting, but at the time they called it a go-see.
Yeah.
And they still call
They
it
call
that.
it go-see. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just a go-see. They'll peruse your book. So you have a portfolio at the time. Now everything's digital, but you had the large book with a bunch of your test images. And they'd want to get to know your personality, where you're from, etc. And so I did that 45 times, like in a week, which was very exciting.
That's amazing.
And then the calls just started coming and coming, and they're like, "Hey, you got to stay here longer." And then I was like, "Okay, it looks like I'm going to move to New York," because it really started to pick up where what I would make in a month in New York is like over a year's salary
Wow.
in Chicago. So,
And this man, by the way, is enamored by New York. I just feel like you're always talking about New York and how much he wants to take me to New York and just experience that. And thinking about it, like to be at the age that you were and to blow up. I mean, he traveled the world. He was on billboards. Like, let me tell y'all something.
She's proud. She's a proud girlfriend, isn't she?
So he was on like underwears and t-shirts and stuff at the store, and when we were dating, he was showing me all his like magazine covers and like these spreads and stuff, and it's, I think that's so cool. I was, I had 17 magazine growing up, and like, you see all these hotties, never thought that would be my man. And so he shows me the underwear and the shirts and stuff, and he was like, "Those are in Target right now." I was like, "No shit." I was like, "Nuh-uh." He's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "We gotta go." We totally went to Target that day, and I thought it was the cutest thing. I'm like taking video. I bought like 2 different shirts for my dad and my brother, and I'm like sending these videos to like all my family and friends, like totally like, this is so funny. Anyway, all that to say, he was highly successful in New York. Did the damn thing, experienced New York in like the best, coolest way possible. Like at that age, you're hot. And I wanted to talk.
She's not shallow. You're hot.
That's key, right? It's key.
It's like a personality.
Because I only said that. Let me get my story right. Because going back to before all that, like David wasn't the guy, who some would say got all the ladies, and
I did not.
Right.
I did not. I didn't even think that I could be a model, but my barber gave me some good advice. He said, "It's not what you think, it's what they think. And they're the professionals. That's what they do." So I just kind of went with it. I thought I was a good looking guy, but I definitely did not think I was the Billboard, the magazine, TV commercial guy. I was like, that's not me.
Yeah.
So when I say you're hot, it was because he finally grew into his own. He got his confidence. He obviously now was getting attention from women. And so I'm just saying it as whatever. As like when you look back at chapters of your life, like I could only imagine that chapter of your life is just like, holy crap, like this.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've had stories of like him working with like, big celebrities, playing basketball with, I don't know if you care to name drop, but
just famous
famous people. And yeah, but like
people I grew up watching.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
like those are cool moments where he's
Yeah.
like, I literally was shooting hoops with like
So,
this. Yeah. And it's like,
Yeah.
to just look back now, and you as an adult to like look back at baby David, not really baby, but and be like, I've had that experience. Wow. And to
Yeah.
never have thought.
Well, and to keep that, because we were talking about this earlier, but to keep that mentality and that humbleness, because you're blowing up, you're making money and you're good looking, and girls are obviously like, grouping it out and stuff like that. It's like, how do you remain grounded and not let that get to your head?
I think the humble beginnings definitely helps.
Mm-hmm.
I was the guy like trying to get a date and couldn't. I was the one that women didn't take me seriously. I was the funny guy. They're like, oh, he's always the best.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go out with the star running back.
Right.
And so I was kind of alone a lot
Yeah.
in the early days. But I think that the attention came later in life. And then I also saw how other guys would move and navigate through dating.
Mm.
And a lot of it, I was like, I don't want to be that guy, right?
Mhm.
I saw that guy, he gets a bunch of women, and I would see how he would treat them. And, I was like, that's not cool. Like, I grew up with my mom and my sister primarily. And so I've seen girls cry a lot.
Yeah.
And so I've always been very truthful and not wanted to play around with emotions, to get things from women. Because that's what
Most
young
men do.
Men do.
Yeah.
For sure. And so that was key,
Mhm.
I think. And then humble beginnings for sure. Because nothing was happening.
Yeah.
Like, it was me and my dog shooting hoops Saturday night all through high school.
Yeah.
Like, that was my life.
Yeah.
So for this to be happening in my 20s, it was very surreal. It was cool. But I also saw that I had a choice. What type of man do I want to be? How do I want to move? And I knew that I had the power to
Make those decisions.
to mess it up or really do it right. So
So then you have this awesome chapter of your life in New York. You're modeling, you're doing all the things that you maybe didn't think you'd be doing one day.
never.
What was it that like shifted to then reinvent yourself again and try something new? Like, what happened after that? Was it
So it actually gives you confidence, right? Because I was just a student and now I'm doing something that was so far from like what I'm used to. And then, modeling. And then I started doing TV commercials. I never took an acting class. And now I'm booking TV commercials. and
Screw you.
modeling. So
I gotta
so the
say.
confidence level was high.
Yeah,
And I've always,
else can I do?
and I've always, not that you need to do this, but I did graduate, with a bachelor's degree. And so I felt like I had decent intelligence where I can do things that require your mind and planning and your mouth. And it's not just,
Right.
taking pictures or acting, which a lot of people don't really realize it's not just that. Like,
There's so much.
because for modeling too, like everyone's good looking. Like all the guys are good looking. So then it's what else do you do? Right. And so it's like, how's your personality? Because the client's going to be on set with you all day.
Yeah.
So if you're just boring, or if you're a jerk, or if you don't follow direction, or if a lot of times you go to set and you start to do a shoot, you want to find out what they're looking for.
Yeah.
We on camera, off camera, what parts of the outfit do you want to see? Do you want to highlight? The photographer doesn't want to have to tell you what to do. You just got to go through it. And so that's the person who gets invited back, right?
And I'll say this, just because I've had friends reach out to me and say, oh, my son wants to be a model. Like, what do we need to do? Let's take him take pictures. And a lot of younger people, if you're listening, always think that with modeling, not that I'm a model, but as an actor, we take a lot of headshots and they're either really great or they're not. They get you jobs, they don't. And people think you just like smile, like what's so hard about that? But there actually is like a lot going on in here, and you have to know your body, your face, you have to keep moving. You have to know so many different things that people I think discount,
There's a difference between taking a picture and modeling.
Right.
You put it really good one day when we were talking about it, because I feel like there's plenty of times we've all seen it. You're looking through a catalog or watching a commercial, and that outfit is a hot mess. But the model's job is to sell it. And I remember when David said that, like, I forgot what you had something on.
Yeah, and I said my job is to make bad clothes look good.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, that's 100% true, and that's the point, because it's like, if you're wearing like some fugly shirt, but it looks so good on this man or woman, it's not the fugly shirt. It's the what they did with their body and how they sold it, right?
Yeah, and sold it in a way to where the person's like, I want to look like him.
Exactly.
And then they buy it, and it looks nothing like that.
It's crazy looking.
Don't blame me.
You know, that's the job, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I what I think that's funny is too, because I think modeling especially, I feel like a lot of people like discount that as
100%.
like a hard job in society, like models, whatever, and that they're airheads or whatever.
But there's so much more. Yeah.
Yeah, well, but it's exactly what you're saying. There's just so much more to it. And outside of that, it's like, what do you do with that money? What do you do with those connections and all that after, right? So then
Longevity.
yeah,
Exactly.
Because so many people, you could be hot for a year, 2, but how many guys are doing it for 10, 15?
mm-hmm.
Because this is the one thing I realized early on that's different in sales
Don't eat.
I know, right?
is this is a form of sales, right? But I actually have to walk around with my product. It's not like I can make the product is nice and then you store it and no, I have to walk around with it. So what you eat, what you drink, how you take care of yourself, your hair. Because then, because you see some people who model for a while and then they show up to a client and the client's like, have you seen Troy? My guy gained a couple pounds. He lost a tooth. Like,
yeah.
And so longevity, right? But people live their lives. So I don't drink. I don't eat red meat. I don't eat chicken. So certain things I was like, other guys aren't doing this, right?
Yeah.
Other guys are in New York getting it in, partying,
Mm-hmm.
doing drugs. I'm in the gym. I'm drinking water. And so I had my sports approach to this whole thing. I was just, I'd go into a room and there were like 10 to 15 different versions of me. But I loved that because it just went back to the competition rather than, some guys are like, this guy's, no, I'm like, let's go. Let's get in. Because I know that I'm doing what they're not doing.
Yeah.
So you did the sports, right? Then you did the modeling. Now you're doing commercials without ever doing an acting class. And now, then what? So then what was the transition from that to the life coaching?
I didn't like that for modeling, you always had to wait for a job. Wait for a gig. You go to castings, but you would wait. You get put on hold. You get put on a veil. You get released. And so when you're hot, you're hot. And sometimes when it's slow, I didn't like always waiting. So I wanted to have a form of control and something that was mine.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I started a lifestyle coaching company and I just helped people improve their lifestyle. So there was a fitness, fashion, nutrition, wardrobe styling, photography aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just helped people improve their lifestyle and it was very fulfilling. I was passionate about it.
So I might frame this question incorrectly because there's a lot of thoughts happening in my brain right now.
Yeah.
But like that. But so for someone like myself, I have a million ideas and a lot of things, but because I have so many ideas and I feel like I'm kind of good at this one and this one and this one, but I can't pick one. And you get so overwhelmed with all the choices and all the things that sometimes you get stuck because you don't make a decision. So it's like for somebody who is, maybe they are working a 9 to 5 and they're like, I hate this, but I love fashion and I kind of like this and I kind of like that. Oh, but this is scary and I make money doing my regular job. So maybe I'll just stay here. So like, I guess the question would be like, what advice would you give to somebody at home who has an inkling for something else?
Yeah.
And they're like,
Oh,
I
great
don't
question.
know. Like, should I do it? Should I not? Like, where did you harness the confidence to be like, you know what? Like, fuck it. I'm going to be a lifestyle coach. Fuck it. I'm going to go be a model. Like, I'm going to, how do you get the bravery or like what? Yeah.
Well, you also have to, so fear steers most people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And certain things that are unknown or you're scared of, you veer away from.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in actuality supposed to do the opposite.
Lean into it.
If you're not uncomfortable, then you're not doing the right things. Right? So get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And if certain things are, you see fear, like you got to go right at it. Like you got to just say F it. Nope.
Where was that born in you though?
Sports,
Okay.
competitiveness, going against a guy that was bigger, stronger, faster, just that competition.
Yeah.
Right. And you really you gotta, just like an inner beast, like, they talk about Kobe and the Mamba mentality. Like a lot of athletes have always had that. You got to be a little crazy sometimes too. Like, I don't care. I'm going to go do it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not scared.
Yeah.
So for people at, their regular jobs, like first you start with what your passions are, write it down. And look, the lifestyle coaching thing didn't all just come to fruition in 2 seconds. Like it was like 2 years of writing things down, talking with friends, brainstorming. My best friend actually helped me come up with the word, like, because I was like, I'm not a life coach. He's like, you're a lifestyle coach.
You're like, ooh.
Because I told him what I wanted to do. I wanted to help this guy or this woman with this.
And also too, because and I want to make sure to point this out, like that you are that person in general. Like he has people, and I'm just gonna say this because it's true. He has people coming up to him at the gym, like asking him for advice. He literally helped this 60-something-year-old man like get on a dating app, like shoot his photos and like show, like literally help this guy, get dressed for it and like go on dates.
Aww.
Yeah. So I want to preface that because it wasn't a random thing. You weren't just like, well, I think I might coach people. Like he was this person already. And it again, another part of him that I guess living your life, then you.
But I love that because you turned a part of who you are into something profitable.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a stingy way, but I mean,
I've always done it.
Yeah,
for friends, family.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a difference because it is who you are, and it comes from a real place, like, it comes from the heart. Like it's different and people feel that, right? Because even like with this one gentleman that I'm speaking of, he didn't charge him for any of that. Like in the beginning, like, cause he's not really doing that right now, but it just kind of comes to him.
Right.
So then at the end, the guy was kind of like, no, but I'm going to pay you for this and I was like, see, like it finds you.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you do that in your life, and it seems like the common theme in yours, it's like you've constantly just been true to who you are and your passions and the things that like move you or scare you or excite you. And it really very much like manifesting. It's like when it's the things that you're just constantly putting out there, they just continuously come back to you, right? And then fast forward through a lot of life stuff, you have a child. And then you
baby.
Well, I only fast forwarded.
That's good with me.
I only fast forwarded it just because we're talking about the career switch, not because I don't want you to talk about. I love that part of your life, but it's more of the career shift of like.
I'm sorry.
His daughter was the reason that was part of the reason that went to the next chapter of the career.
You're constantly evolving. You're not who you are when you're 20, when you're 30, and you're 40.
Yeah.
It's a different person. Same person, but it's a different version of you. Drastic, right?
Yeah.
And whether it's, you could be single when you're in your 20s making a certain amount of money. Now you're in your 30s, you're divorced and you have a child. It's a completely different version. You've learned so much about yourself. Your responsibilities have changed, your priorities. So you have to be another saying that I live by, and I try to keep it really, really simple because I think a lot of things are complicated when they don't have to be, and they get misconstrued with a lot of these sayings that are out there. I try to remain flexible at all times.
And he's good at it, y'all. I'm not. This man, and we've talked about it, he is a rubber band. And I always equate it to, in my head, especially when I first met him, I was like, it's because he's a parent. All parents are flexible. They have to be. You know what I mean?
They have to be.
They do, but they don't. Like, not all parents. Okay, I'll rephrase that. They have to be because, things happen. So, but not everybody does it in the way that you do it, where you're very, it doesn't really affect him. Like, which I know it's something I'm going to learn from you, because I know for me, if like the sun doesn't set the way I thought it was going to set, I'm like, oh, I wanted to run today. The whole day is ruined.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that is obviously not good.
Yeah.
A work in progress. I'm definitely better than that. I was over dramatizing that. Thank you,
You're
friend.
welcome, friend.
But you're really, really good at.
I've gotten better. I had to.
So
It
I've
wasn't
met the
always like
version
that.
that is.
I've had patience and I've remained flexible, but I would get comfortable in my lifestyle, my flow, and then something comes in and disrupts it, and I would get really upset, and I would just, my feathers would be ruffled, and I'm just like, oh. And then when it kept happening, I was like, I need to adjust just how I think. So I say this to her a lot of times too. I call myself like a fireman, and I'm like, I just put out fires.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is it today? You check your email, your phone. Oh, okay. And she's like, what's going on? I'm like, another fire. Just
He literally, actually, I'm going to say this.
Okay.
You said that on our first date.
oh, I did.
Yeah. Because I think I like
In what
asked,
reference?
like when we were in the car on our way to a date, like I was like, I think I asked you how the drive was or whatever, because he told me what time he was going to pick me up, which by the way, we're going to have another episode about this, which I loved. I was like, yes, like tell me what to do. Not like in that way, but somebody who's assertive. He told me what time he was going to pick me up. And then he kind of confirmed it, but then I didn't hear from him. And I was like, well, I'm like texting. I was like so excited, whatever. I'm like texting with my friend Valery. I'm like, girl, I haven't heard from him. And I had like this little idea that I was going to do that was going to be like, I thought was going to be cute. Fast forward, it ended up being cute. But I'm like, I haven't heard from him, whatever. So then if we finally get in the car, we have our little thing. We'll talk about that another time. And then I was like, how was your day? Whatever. And he was like, oh, it's just good. I was on the phone. And you said that I was putting out fires. And I was like, okay.
I don't remember that. That's funny.
Yeah. Anyway, I had to share that. But because, yeah, it's true. You say that a lot.
You got to remain flexible.
Yeah. So then, but why real estate? Why were you like, okay, this is going to be my next venture?
So yeah, so I did the lifestyle coaching for about 7 years, and through COVID, quarantine, and all that, I just kind of felt the passion wasn't there as much as it was, and I just decided to stick with the fitness aspect. Like accountability coaching, I still do that.
Mm-hmm.
But the real estate has always been something, like most people, they like it, right? I watched all the shows. It interests me. Never did I think, I always said like, oh, I could do that, but it was never serious, right? It's just like, you watch a cop show and you're like, oh, I could do that, but you're not going to go.
I watched Little
do
Mermaid.
that.
I was like, I can do that.
You're not going to really
You're such a nerd.
go in the Marines. You're just like, yeah, I could do that. And just, I don't know, it just kind of happened naturally when I was like, I had a friend that got into like a lot of investments, and I was hearing him do it, and I started listening to him on his business calls, and the competitive side of me was like, oh, I could do this way better. Like, I'm like, he's good. I was like, but that's what it sounds like when you like talk to a client or you're negotiating a deal. I was like, because the TV, I didn't take it serious. I was like, that there are lines they're feeding them or whatever. But I actually heard him on a few calls, and I was like, I could. And so I started to get confidence.
Yeah.
And then that was it. I was like, all right, I'm gonna take the test that nobody passes.
Yeah.
Right? It's a test that people take
Like
I think
5 times.
It's like I think 30% of people who take it pass. And so I was like, okay, hopefully I could be like under 5. And at that time during quarantine, all the places were closed except one place. So now you can take a test like every 3 weeks. But back then you could take it like once every like 5 months.
Ooh.
So I haven't studied that hard.
Uh-huh.
Probably, I don't think I studied that hard in college. And I passed the first time, luckily, because if I didn't pass, I don't know if I had enough to like
keep going.
Yeah, but that was it. Then it was all, all systems go. But yeah, that, I think it goes back to the beginning, right? Like just having an idea in your head, like, oh, I think I can do this, and just being like, let's try it. Like, I'm okay to fail.
And
Like,
that's key, though. I think that's key. I'm sorry, huh?
No, so we were talking about that.
Yeah. I mean, well, and it's crazy. 'Cause I've learned to reframe. Because failure to me was scary because I grew up watching a lot of failure. I grew up, my father tried so many things, so many businesses, they all kept failing. But at the same time, he was a functioning alcoholic. So that I think played into it. But when you watch somebody try and fail, try and fail, try and fail, and then you're told by family members, you are just like your dad. Oh my God. And it's like, no, but I know I'm not, I'm, as a kid, and kid brains are different from adult brains. So I didn't understand what was really going on, depression, all these things. Instead, it's like, no, this person is mood swingy and they are mean sometimes. And I don't like that. I'm not mean to people. So when people would tell me I was just like my dad, I'd go in my room and cry. Cause I'd be like, I don't want life, but I'm not like that. But again, so then, and everything had to be, you have to be good at this. Oh, you got a B? What's this? I was in college. It was my first semester in college. I got all A's and a B, and I was on a full ride academic scholarship. Wow. You got a B? It wasn't even like congrats on the A's, congrats on the dean's list. It was like, what the fuck is this? Without the F. He didn't, what the fuck? But so it's like, from that household going out into the world, first of all, so naive. Like I was still, because I had a curfew my whole life. So when I lived on my own, like I still came home at curfew. It was foreign to me to come home after that.
What was curfew? What is that?
11 o'clock. And then, but then I was dancing. So I was working at different hotels dancing, and I would get off at like 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. So those were like different, I guess. But like going out with friends, I'd be like, oh God, I just like I'm starting to feel this overwhelming, like feeling guilt. Like I got to go home because I don't want to be a bad person. But I say all that because then coming out to LA and being a dancer, there was so much fear. It was a fear-driven career. I had to be good. I had to be perfect. I didn't allow myself the opportunity to make mistakes. So if I'm like in the mirror, not looking right, I was so hard on myself, not saying that's the process of learning. Like you have to look crazy until it gets into your body. Instead, it was like, that person got it by like the second time they did it. And I'm over here still like, I'm missing this count. So everything was like this. And it was that whole fear of failure, And so I love that you said like, you're like, I'm okay. Like I'm going to learn this and fail. But that's how you grow.
And you have to fall in love with the process, right? You have
to.
And it's very hard to do because you don't know where your journey is taking you. But if you don't enjoy the journey on your way there, it'll make the end less sweet.
Right.
Because you are so stressed out and beating yourself up the whole time you were getting there, and now you're there and you're exhausted.
Well, and you don't know how to enjoy it.
Yeah. Enjoy the process.
And you hear that all the time. And
we said it on another podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't like the process.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally what you said. Because also too, and not to get like super like dark, but really we don't know if we're gonna make it to C, right? Like it's like you don't. Yeah. So if you're putting all this effort and all this time and like getting super stressed out doing this thing for the product or for whatever you think that's gonna look like, you're always going to be chasing. And especially, and I feel like, and I've said this before, and with this career, one of like my biggest pet peeves is to be working on a project and somebody asking me, so what are you doing next? I'm like, if you don't fucking let me have this rap party and enjoy the fact that like this was amazing and I'm having a really good time without asking me about what I'm doing next, like, oh, like it makes me so angry because I'm like, that's the problem. Like, can we just be here now? Because we already do that naturally, right? Like, oh gosh, like when's the next picture? When's the next show? So it irritates me because it's such a very common thing. Maybe it's a societal thing of just like, well, what now? And it's like, damn, like, can I just here, right? Can I just have this moment? Like, and even with relationships and stuff like that, like
having a baby.
Right.
When's your next one?
Right. Oh, I was gonna say engagement first.
I just got this one. Like,
I've even figured this one out yet.
Yeah, you're always chasing the next thing. So yeah, enjoying the journey and that process, easier said than done. Why do you think that's hard for you?
Enjoying the journey?
Yeah, like or the process. Like what?
Because it's fear driven. But I want to make sure I get to the goal. What if I don't get at the goal? Like I've been doing this so long, like I have to do this harder. I have to go I have to multitask. I have to do this. I have to do that. And I'm like doing all the things.
I know. I've told you like.
I think, playing what if is dangerous.
Yeah.
That can't creep into your mind.
Yeah.
Like you have a goal. This is what when you get to, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'll get there.
Yeah.
Right? There's no plan Bs.
Yeah.
You just go
Yeah.
and you stay. You know, the whole manifesting thing.
Mhm.
You know, it's not. I don't think it's a gimmick. I think it's you're so focused on that, and you don't look at backups, and you don't because I think without thinking, like you're not all in. If you're
Yeah.
thinking about, well, I could just do this if this doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right. So I've always been very much into like, this is what I'm going to do. This is going to work. I hope it pops off in the next year or two, but it could be 10.
Mhm.
Right. I didn't think about like, you know, what would I do if, you know, if this didn't work out?
See, and I'm impatient by nature though. So if I'm like, I'm putting in the work, I know I'm putting in the work. Why is it not happening? Where's like, and I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just being honest with, and I've had to grow from that, and I'm still growing from that, and I know I've gotten better at it, but it's still a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what I've noticed about specifically Alikona is that you've always had a hard time celebrating yourself. And I think, and that's.
But you just heard the story about all the A's and the 1B.
Yeah, no, so I know. I absolutely.
You've been conditioned
Yeah,
from the beginning.
Yeah, I understand where the seed was born, but I'm just reiterating it to remind you that. So why you're stressing about this and that, and I'm not going to do this. Even those times where you have gotten those successes, you still don't celebrate yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like you're still, and it's not enough and whatever. And then like, you know, I'm just going to, you know, shout her out. She booked a job today and she got a call actually last night for another job, you know? And so it's like, and that was really like brushed over for a minute, you know, really quick because we were dealing with other stuff. But I was like, wait a minute, girl, give me a hug. Like you got a job. Like, okay, let's have this moment. But I'm sure for you, you're just like, oh, whatever. It's whatever. But no. She auditioned. She put herself on tape.
Yeah.
We did a few takes back, you know,
Yeah.
we kind of had a whole thing. And I'm like, we don't know how many people went out for that. Like, you got it. Let's have this, even if it's short lived, but like.
And if you don't have those small celebrations, you're going to burn out because you're just beating yourself up. Even though you're having these small victories on the way, you're not celebrating them.
Yeah.
Like, because there'll be some release of tension when you have those small celebratory things. It's not like you're going to be complacent now. Like you haven't, you know, you're not like I've arrived now. I can just chill.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But spend, I don't know, give yourself a night,
Yeah.
Do you know
An
how hard
hour.
it is for me to take a night off?
an hour, but not an off, but just you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
tell your family members that you're great and you just did something great,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then get back to the grind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And and you've definitely gotten better at that. You've definitely gotten really good. Not, I won't say that. You've gotten better.
Nope, you know you haven't.
No,
You got work to do.
You've gotten better. Let me rephrase that. I was gonna say it not like overbooking yourself, like keeping yourself so busy with like 20 million things. So that's still a very positive trait because you're such a hustler and a go-getter. But I'm just saying for mentally and your soul, like sometimes we've talked about this. I'm like, girl, if you don't stop doing one thing, like you're doing so much. Which is I think one of the many reasons you are going to be so successful is because you do put in the work, right? And that no matter what is going to pay off. Obviously I've seen it with you and I believe it with you and we've seen it with David. It's just like, no matter what, it's like putting in the work and having that passion and that drive. Like what you were saying, David, like, we don't know if it's a year, we don't know if it's 10, but like, and I truly always believe if it's yours, it's yours. And if you obviously you got to put in the work, but you're going to get there.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's crazy. It's like, because when I was in my 20s and I moved out to LA, I was always in the studio taking dance classes, whatever. And then I got into my 30s and I started hosting and whatnot. And I was like, God, am I slowing down? I feel like I'm slowing down. Not like tired, but I just feel like I'm a slacker. Like I'm not doing as much for some reason. And even though I am, like, I don't know. It's weird.
You said it happened in your 30s
When I started hosting.
when you started.
But when I felt like I was slowing, not I don't know.
Why? Because when you were dancing, were you just busier?
Maybe because it was physical work, right? Because I had a job. I worked 6 hours and I went straight to the studio and I was there taking like 4 classes back to back and then coming home. And mind you, like when I went to college, I had a full-time job well, I did makeup. I worked at a nightclub, and I danced for a dance company.
Yeah.
So I was doing all the things. So I was used to being busy. And as my life has slowly gotten rid of certain things, it feels like I'm not doing as much. Even though I'm spending all day, like with our podcast when I was editing. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't know how much time I put into editing. Like, it's stupid just because of technical malfunctions. But it's like I worked on that for months and months, every day of my life. Like, I wouldn't take a day off.
I want to timestamp this episode because, and I was thinking about this today, the strike is over and this is going to air later, but we were talking about this last night and I had like this moment of just like, I'm going to get emotional, but I was like, this is going to be so different. And I don't know when, like we were saying, but there's going to be a time where all of those hours that you put in and all the stuff, you know, the seed where this was born and the why is gonna pay off, and I just know it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I just know it will, because we'll be promoting different projects or whatever, and it's gonna get to the right people, and that's not why we started it, but it's just gonna happen, and it's later we're gonna timestamp back this episode and be like, yeah, like when she was talking about all those editing hours and the BS with this plug and this light.
Enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
This is it.
Because then, we're gonna be. It's like, remember when we were like, oh, tighten that little couch. Now we're in the studio and people are like doing our makeup.
Yeah.
I love that. I know we're
probably long on time.
And we're gonna do another episode, you guys, with David and Alikona. It's gonna be fun for her because she gets to like kind of interview us, and actually, it's gonna be obviously a big conversation, but on like how we met and how that, and like loving your 40s or 30s or after marriage and all the things. It's gonna be good. I'm excited. He might be scared.
I'm afraid.
I'm not going easy.
We don't know fear. We don't face.
I'm still gonna do it.
Yeah, lean into it.
I can still be scared.
That's true.
Yeah.
But thank you. I know. I mean,
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me. Saying it, but you don't have to do this, and I'm so proud of you.
This was
and
fun.
I think it's inspiring.
Kiss. I'm that person. Yeah, right. Tinka tinka tink. Aw.
But
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
thanks everybody for listening. Till next time.
Bye, guys. I mean, I love you.